Tennessee Titans fans, it is that time of the week where we hop on Reddit and see what Tennessee Titans fans are saying about the state of the organization just a couple of weeks away from training camp. It's getting about that time, folks. We're going to start on the Two Tone Talk page where we only got one post this week. If you're not on the Two Tone Talk Reddit community, you need to go over there. There's a link to it in the video description. Go join that community, leave your questions, comments, memes, and whatnot, and we will check those out every single week on this segment. So we're also going to be going over to the Tennessee Titans Reddit page to see what's going on over there as well. Let's take a look at some of these posts. This is from the Two Tone Talk Reddit page where it says, "Hi Brad, could you react to this video of every NFL team off-season grade?" And then they put a link to the video. Not only will I do it, I will do it today. As soon as I get done recording this, I'm going to film my thoughts on that video that you linked and post it later today. So depending on when you're watching this, it may already be posted. This is on the Tennessee Titans Reddit page. It says, "Training camp in 2 weeks." This was posted by Danger Booty. And he's clicking the button at the same time, drinking that Cam Ward Kool-Aid and also ready to get hurt again. Listen, we've gotten hurt many times, haven't we? We've gotten hurt by Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota, Vince Young. We've gotten hurt many times. And so I understand the hesitancy. I understand being skittish and not wanting to get hurt again. But just let me tell you this. I've said it a million times. Just because you've struck out in the past doesn't mean that you don't try to take a swing when you get up to bat this time. Just because it hadn't worked out before doesn't mean it's not going to work out now. Guess what? With all of my exes, it didn't work out with any of them. That didn't stop me from pursuing my wife, right? Just because it didn't work out all those times before, that doesn't mean that it stopped me from trying whenever my wife came along. And obviously that worked out for me very well. So I take the same approach to this. Yes, it didn't work with Vince. It didn't work with Marcus. It didn't work with Locker at all. But you know what? It didn't work with Levis. But I'm getting my hopes up for Cam Ward because life's too short not to. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, well, it's not. I'm not going to be one of these negative people that is just like, oh, well, it ain't going to work out. It never works out. No, look at it this way. The Titans are due for it to work out, folks. They are due for it to work out because it hadn't worked out so many times. Look at this guy. I don't know if you can see well. That is Steve. We're looking for the next Steve, folks. This person said, "Which newly acquired player surprised you the most this past season?" This person said, "For me, Tony Pollard had a sneaky good season for us after being released by Dallas. He also had a career-high workload of 260 carries and in yards 1,079, all while dealing with an ankle injury. He was one of our most consistent guys out there last season." If you watched the 2024 Tidy Awards, you would have seen me give Player of the Year to Tony Pollard. I thought that Tony Pollard was sensational for the Titans. I've talked about Calvin Ridley numerous times, how impressive it is that he was able to find over 1,000 yards receiving with what he had to work with at quarterback. Pretty impressive that Tony Pollard was able to have the season that he had when you consider what he was dealing with that offensive line and his injuries. So yes, Tony Pollard was a great addition. I would tend to agree. If I were going to give a dark horse in this category of off-season signings last year that impressed me, Darrell Baker is a name that comes to mind. Darrell Baker picked up off waivers like right before the season started from Indianapolis, of all places, I believe. Came in and played really well enough that they brought him back, and he's probably going to get some playing time for them this year. Just something to keep an eye on. But Tony Pollard, I think, far and away, would be the one most people would pick. But I'll throw Darrell Baker's name in there. I mean, that was not a major signing. Like I said, they picked him up off waivers right before the season started. He actually held his own pretty well when Snead got hurt and Awuzie got hurt. He did okay. This person, let me just make this one bigger so that you can really see this. Scary Terry. I've been keeping my eye on Terry McLaurin ever since there were rumors he might have to leave Washington. I don't know how you could have a better 1-2 punch for a rookie quarterback than Ridley and McLaurin. He's a good culture guy, and I don't think he'd ruffle any locker room feathers either if he came in after signing a big deal with us. I don't care if it maybe stunts our growth by limiting our number of future picks, but throw the day 2 picks back at DC and include Traylon and call it a day. Welcome to Tennessee, Terry. So I'm fully aware of what caliber player Terry McLaurin is. They don't call him Scary Terry for nothing. He's magnificent, and I still believe Washington's going to find a way to keep him, but I just can't imagine the Tennessee Titans doing this at this point. I think that the Titans are probably content, and I'm going to talk about this a little more here in a second with another post we're going to check out. The Titans are most likely content with what they've got at wide receiver. It's not the greatest wide receiving group in the world, but you've got Calvin Ridley, a clear number one who's going to be, you would think, a reliable target for Cam Ward. They really spent a lot of mid-round picks on receivers and tight ends to come in. They've got veteran players like Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson coming in. Again, not the flashiest, most fun group of wide receivers you've ever seen, but a reliable group, a dependable group, a group that hopefully, if the rookies can come in and do well, could be fine for Cam Ward. Because of where the Titans are at in the beginning stages of a rebuild, I just don't think it would make any sense to make a huge trade for a guy like Terry McLaurin. I mean, this seems like the type of trade that a team who is one step away from being a Super Bowl contender would do. Like if you are, I mean, I hate to even say it, but if you're Kansas City and you're needing a wide receiver to get over the hump, which I think offensive line is where they need help, so Kansas City's probably a bad example. But you know what I mean. If you're a team like that is just needing one more thing to get you over that hump, and maybe a wide receiver, a playmaker like that, like Terry McLaurin could do it for you, then that would make sense. But for the Titans, there's so many other things they need. Borgonzi and Brinker have talked about wanting to build up draft capital, and I think the best way to do that is not to make a blockbuster trade for Terry McLaurin. But, I mean, listen, I'd be lying if I said if the Titans randomly did this, I'm not going to sit here and say that I would come on here and be like, I hate it. I'd be freaking out if we traded for Terry McLaurin. I just, quite frankly, don't see that happening at this point with where the Titans are. This person talked about potential suitors for Josh Whyle trades. With Jonnu Smith being traded from Miami to Pittsburgh, what craziness that was. The Dolphins are now in the market for a cheap tight end. This sounds like the perfect opportunity to trade Whyle, who many in the media are projecting to not make the roster. I hadn't seen that. The Dolphins do not prioritize the tight end position in McDaniel's scheme, so a low production, cheap blocking first tight end makes sense for them. Getting a 6th or 7th round pick for the Titans would be fine compensation for the Titans, who want to have 8 to 10 picks in the 2026 draft. Didn't they sign Darren Waller? I mean, I don't know if that really changes things. Last time we heard really anything notable from Darren Waller, he was putting out a rap song or something. He was retired and now he came back. Listen, the Titans, I think, could trade a tight end. You just brought in Gunnar Helm. You've got Chigakonkwo, who's really, like, you want to see him get back to what you saw from him his rookie year. I've thought about Chigakonkwo more than Josh Whyle as a potential trade candidate because I think you could get more value for Chigakonkwo, and he's nearing the end of his rookie contract. Josh Whyle certainly hasn't done a lot. I mean, you know, if the Dolphins wanted to give you a 6th rounder for Josh Whyle, I think you have to consider it. Just because, I mean, it's not like he's lighting the world on fire, and if Miami's willing to give you that, then sure. But I just don't know who's going to want to trade for Josh Whyle at this point because he's shown so little, because he's done so little and had so little impact. I just don't think there's going to be a big line of people wanting to trade for Josh Whyle. Now, Chigakonkwo, maybe. Chigakonkwo, I could see somebody willing to give you something for him because he's a different type player. But I just don't see, especially now that they brought in Darren Waller, and I know that's not setting the world on fire, bringing in a player out of retirement, but I think that's Miami's way of addressing the need, as crazy as that is. So let me scroll up a little bit. Former NFL QB says that he suggests Gabe Davis and DJ Chark as Titans wide receiver options. Like I said earlier, I think the Titans are content with what they've got at wide receiver. Not because it's the best group in the league, not because it's the flashiest group in the league, but just because it's fine. It's stable. And some people might disagree, but if Alec Iomanor and Chimere Dike and Xavier Restrepo, if you can get some production out of those guys, and then you've already got your veterans like Ridley and Jefferson and Lockett, and then, yes, if Treylon finds his way into the mix, I doubt he will, but if he does, I think the Titans are content with that group of weapons. Not because it's the greatest, but just because it's stable. It's stable. And, with the veteran leadership and durable guys, and they like who they got in the mid-round picks, I don't think there's – I said this the other week. Somebody asked about Amari Cooper coming to the Titans. I don't think signing Amari Cooper or Gabe Davis or DJ Chark is going to move the needle at all for the Tennessee Titans. Are those guys good? Do they have something to offer? Sure, somewhere, but I just don't get the vibe that any of those guys are going to be like, oh, now Cam Ward is set because he's got DJ Chark. Nothing against those guys. They'll find a place somewhere. But for me, and Gabe Davis is already somewhere, right? Didn't he go to – I feel like he went somewhere else in the AFC South. Correct me if I'm wrong. Final post of the day. I had to throw this in. Just simply somebody said, R.I.P. Air. R.I.P. Air McNair. Obviously, July 4th was the other day. That's the anniversary of Steve McNair's untimely passing. I talked about it yesterday on my two-tone top 5 video of my top 5 Titans of all time. Steve McNair's number, I don't want to spoil it, but Steve McNair's up there on that list. And it's just a shame that he was taken from us way too soon. Doesn't even get enough credit for the impact that he had on the game. When you talk about the greats from that era, I understand we talk about Brady and Manning and Favre, McNabb, Vic. Steve McNair is a name that people need to get, they need to refamiliarize themselves with him, because what a player he was, and what a sad thing that he was taken from us so soon all those years ago. And long live the memory of Steve McNair, and sending tons of love to his family this time of year is probably very hard for them. That is the Titans Reddit segment for this week. Go to that Two-Tone Talk page, and your post will be featured on this segment next week. Let me hear from you in the comments. Tighten up. Bye.